Chiefs Kingdom, buckle up, because things are about to get wild. Free agency is heating up, and the Chiefs could be on the verge of making some shocking moves. If you love keeping up with all things Kansas City football, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's talk about the offseason so far. The Chiefs have already made some key moves, but there's still work to be done, with holes to fill and some serious talent still. Available on the market, Kansas City has the perfect opportunity to strengthen the roster before the next Super Bowl run. This is the second wave of free agency, and here's where things get interesting. The first wave saw big names signing massive contracts, but now teams are looking for hidden gems, players who could make a major impact without breaking the bank. And let's be honest, the Chiefs don't just make moves, they make smart moves. So here's a question for you. If you could sign one free agent for Kansas City right now, who would it be? Drop their name in the comments, and let's see which player Chiefs Kingdom wants the most. All right, let's get into it. The first name on this list is a player you probably never expected to see linked to Kansas City. A former division rival, a future Hall of Famer, and a potential game changer for the defense. Let's talk about Von Miller. Imagine this, Von Miller in a Chiefs uniform. Sounds crazy, right? But here's the thing. It could happen. And if it does, it might be one of the most surprising moves of the offseason. Miller has haunted Kansas City for years. As a Denver Bronco, he was a nightmare for the Chiefs' offensive line, racking up sacks and pressuring quarterbacks at an elite level. Then, he took his talents to Los Angeles, where he played a key role in the Rams' Super Bowl run. Most recently, he's been with Buffalo, but let's be real. He hasn't been the same dominant force we once knew. Now here's where things get interesting. Even though Miller isn't in his prime anymore, he still has plenty left in the tank. Last season, he recorded 6 sacks, 7 QB hits, and 17 tackles for loss. Not bad for a veteran pass rusher. And let's not forget, he knows what it takes to win championships. So, why would Kansas City be interested? Simple. Leadership, depth, and experience. The Chiefs already have a strong defensive front with Chris Jones and George Karlaftis leading the charge. But adding a veteran like Miller would give the team another dangerous weapon, especially in key moments late in the season. Of course, there are risks. Age and injuries are concerns, and his contract situation could be tricky. But if the Chiefs could bring him in on a team-friendly deal, this could be a scary addition. Now, I want to hear from you. Should the Chiefs sign Von Miller? Type S for sign or P for pass in the comments. And if you thought this was a wild idea, just wait until you hear about the next player on this list. Let's talk about Kansas City's wide receiver situation and a superstar who might just be the perfect fit. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, let's talk wide receivers. This position has been a roller coaster for Kansas City, and with free agency in full swing, the team has some big decisions to make. Hollywood Brown is coming back from injury, Rashee Rice is turning into a star, but there are question marks. Will Xavier Worthy be suspended? Can Juju Smith-Schuster be relied on? That's why adding another proven receiver could be a game changer. 2 names have been floating around, Stefon Diggs and Tyler Lockett. Both would be solid additions, but they bring completely different skill sets and price tags. Let's start with Stefon Diggs. He's been one of the league's most dynamic wide receivers, consistently putting up 1,000-plus yard seasons. But there's something even bigger to consider. He's hungry for a ring. Remember when the Chiefs knocked out the Bills in the AFC Championship a few years ago? Diggs stood on the field, watching the celebration, taking it all in. You know he wants that moment for himself. With Patrick Mahomes throwing him the ball, he could be more dangerous than ever. Now, there's a downside. Diggs won't come cheap. Even with his recent injury concerns, he'll likely demand a contract of at least $11 or $12 million per year. That's a lot of money for a team that has other needs to address. On the other hand, there's Tyler Lockett. He's not as flashy as Diggs, but he's one of the most reliable receivers in the game. He runs crisp routes, has great hands, and knows how to get open. Plus, there's a personal connection. Lockett played college ball at Kansas State, and his father was a Chiefs wide receiver. This would be a homecoming story and a smart football move. Lockett would also be the cheaper option, likely around $6 to $7 million per year. He wouldn't have to be the #1 guy, but he'd give Mahomes another dependable target, something this offense needs. So what do you think? If you had to choose one, would you rather sign Stefon Diggs or Tyler Lockett? Type SD for Diggs or TL for Lockett in the comments. Wide receivers are important, but let's not forget about the other side of the ball. The Chiefs have some holes in their secondary, and there's a name out there who could be a sneaky good fit. Let's talk defense. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, we've talked about pass rushers and wide receivers, but let's shift gears. Defense wins championships, and the Chiefs might have an opportunity to make a sneaky good move in the secondary. One name that's been floating around? Marcus Williams. Williams had a strong start to his career with the Saints before moving to the Ravens, but last season didn't go as planned. He got benched, and now Baltimore is moving in a different direction. But here's the thing, he's only 27 years old and still has plenty of talent. In the right system, he could bounce back in a big way. That's where Steve Spagnuolo comes in. The Chiefs' defensive coordinator has a knack for getting the most out of his defensive backs, and Williams would give him another versatile piece. The Chiefs love using 3 safety sets, and with Justin Reid gone, there's a real need for depth. Williams wouldn't have to be an every-down player, but he could rotate in, provide veteran leadership, and step up in case of injuries. Now, defense is only part of the equation. The offensive line could also use a boost. And that's where Brandon Scherff comes in. The former Jaguars guard has had a rock-solid career, making multiple Pro Bowls and proving himself as one of the more reliable interior linemen in the game. Yes, he's getting older, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The Chiefs wouldn't be asking him to carry the line, they just need stability. Whether he starts or provides depth, Scherff could be a valuable piece, especially if the Chiefs decide to shift Kingsley Suamataia to guard. So, here's the question. Where should the Chiefs focus their next move? Should they add another defensive playmaker, or should they reinforce the offensive line to protect Mahomes? Drop D for defense or OL for offensive line in the comments. Now, with all these names on the table, it's time to wrap things up and make some final predictions. Let's break it all down. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, we've gone through some wild possibilities in free agency. Von Miller as a Chief, Stefon Diggs or Tyler Lockett catching passes from Mahomes, Marcus Williams strengthening the secondary, Brandon Scherff adding depth to the offensive line. These aren't just rumors. These are real possibilities that could shape the next Super Bowl run. If you had to pick one move, which would it be? Do you want that veteran pass rusher in Von Miller? A dynamic playmaker in Stefon Diggs? A hometown story with Tyler Lockett? Or maybe you think the real need is in the trenches with Williams or Scherff? Drop your picks in the comments. Personally, I think the Chiefs need to prioritize wide receiver and defense. Mahomes needs reliable targets, and that secondary could use another experienced presence. But hey, Brett Veach always has a few surprises up his sleeve, so don't be shocked if KC pulls off a move no one saw coming. One thing is for sure, when the Chiefs make a move, you'll hear about it right here on Total Chiefs News. So if you haven't already, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. We're covering every free agency move, trade rumor, and roster shakeup as it happens. That's it for today, but we'll be back soon with more Chiefs news. Stay locked in, Chiefs Kingdom, because this offseason is just getting started.